All right, so I'm Jackie Welch from Randolph County United. Wanted to welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started, but first just wanted to do a few things. We want to thank Paul Faddis from Tartar Realty for sponsoring today's event. I wanted to thank the Community Foundation of Randolph County and Randolph County United, of course, that makes the Cultivating Community work possible, which is what this is done under. The Business Retention and Expansion Committee, raise your hand if you're on that. Yep, they help plan the event and make this happen as well, so I appreciate them. K.I.S.S TV for being here and streaming this event so people can see it if they can't make it today. And then we have Dr. Donuts and North Block Coffee. So we're grateful for everyone that came out today to hear from our superintendents and hear about our schools. And I'm going to turn it over to Ted Leahy.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to officially welcome everybody here to the State of the School address for Randolph County. And it's a pleasure to be invited to welcome all of you to this because, of course, I also am a longtime resident of Randolph County, except for the first 3 years of my life, which were spent in Anderson, Indiana. And I went through the school system at Union City Community. And I, of course, also attended St. Mary's Catholic School, grades 1 through 8. So I've had an experience with public school as well as private school. I did a 34-year career at Union City, starting with 5th grade and going all the way through to seniors with various different areas of English and communications and speech and reading and remedial programs. And after 34 years then with the Randolph Eastern School Corporation, my next move was to Bloomington, and I worked at IU for 12 years directing the Advanced College Project, and I know almost all of the schools represented here in Randolph County have at some point offered ACP classes for advanced college credit, dual enrollment programs. So I worked with that for 12 years and was finally the director of that as I finished that career. And so by the time I finished that, I'm back home and I'm thinking, well, now I'm going to settle into life part 3. And I got a phone call from my friends in Bloomington and they said, so do you want to work at IU East? And I said, why are you calling me? Well, what happened was IU East incorporated speech for most of their curriculum and programs, but they didn't have the instructors for it. So I said, well, sure, I can do that for maybe a couple semesters. 9 years later, I finished that. So anyway, so I've had a round of experiences with education, but I fondly look on my first experience, and that was with going to school in Randolph County. And as you will hear from our introductions, we have a very diverse group of superintendents directing our schools, and they bring to our community and county a richness that I didn't experience by visiting over 74 schools in the state of Indiana when I directed the ACP program. I would hold up Randolph County schools to anyone of the schools in the cities and rural areas of the state of Indiana that I visited. So with that, I would like to begin our program by introducing Adrian Moulton from Monroe Central, and I happily have worked with him as superintendent and with our program for the Ball State Research of Randolph County, and we served on various committees during that first 3 years of that research program. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you.
Take this off, I think. Maybe it'll be easier for me. So, good morning, everyone. Is this working? You guys from K.I.S.S TV, I'm good here.
That's just to pick up sound for us, so it's not really to
So it's, but this will work for you because I'm going to walk around if that's all right. Okay. All right, good. Don't want to mess you guys up. Mr. Black told me I'm live streaming this morning, so it's kind of new for me. So, again, good morning, Adrian Moulton from Monroe Central. Appreciate you guys putting on this event. I'm going to take you through a little bit about Monroe Central. Before I do that, I get the honor and privilege of leading off this morning, thanks to our alphabetical order at Monroe Central. But with that said, obviously we're going to brag about our schools this morning. That's what we're here to do, and I'm really proud of what we're doing here. But in no way, and I think Ted did a great job of starting us off this morning, as a longtime resident of Randolph County, I'm extremely proud of all of our schools in this county. And these people sitting right over here, they work extremely hard. Your superintendents work hard. And a lot of times we take some hits, and sometimes along the way we deserve those. But I want you to know that we work extremely well together. I have tremendous respect for each of the superintendents in Randolph County. I consider them all close associates, colleagues, and in no way do I want you to think anything I present tonight, this morning, is any way a knock on what they're doing, because I'm proud of a lot of things that are going on in this county and our schools, and again, not just what's going on at Monroe Central. So with that, we'll start off. The state of the corporation at Monroe Central. Go ahead, Jackie. And here we go. So we always start out with our mission statement. We're all about all students. That's extremely important to us at Monroe Central. And we on just about everything, our letterhead, signage, everywhere, you're going to see our 3 E's. We're about engagement, getting kids active. We want them actively involved in their learning. We're about empowerment, getting kids the skills necessary to be successful in life, and we want to excel. We want to be the very best we can at Monroe Central at doing those things. So go ahead. I'd like to lead off with my board of trustees. I have a tremendous board. This is my 8th year as superintendent there, and I can honestly say this is the best group of board that I've worked with. Just geographically, real quick, so you kind of have an idea of how Monroe Central is made up. We have 3 townships and Monroe Central School Corporation. To the north is Green Township, and that's represented by Mr. Bradley Inskeep. To the south is Stony Creek, and that's represented by Mr. Nathan Coe. And then we have Monroe Township, which then when they were naming us, we are the center of not Monroe County, which we get confused a lot of times with that. We are the center of Monroe Township. We're right in between on Highway 32, as most of you know, between Parker City and Farmland. And Monroe Township has 2 representatives, one to the west, which is Parker City, and that's Brad Swallow, and one to the east, which is Farmland, and that's Michael Morris. And then the way our board is set up, we have 1 at-large seat, and that can be from anybody within the school district, any of the 3 townships, and that's Mr. Chris Landis. This year, we have 3 seats open. Mr. Swallow and Mr. Morris are running unopposed. Mr. Landis has decided not to run, so that's an open seat, and we have 2 gentlemen that'll be running for the at-large position, Patrick Patterson and Spencer Lloyd. Okay. Monroe Central is made up of, we're at one campus right there at the on Highway 32 between Parker City and Farmland. We have 2 schools. Our junior senior high school is a 7 through 12 building that was built in 1977 following the tornado that destroyed the original high school in 1974. Our elementary was built in 1983, and that just sets to the east on the property, and it is a K.I.S. building with also some preschool, which we're excited about and we're going to talk a little bit more about. We have 1,064 students, K through 12. Enrollment is extremely important in the state of Indiana. You'll probably hear that from every one of the superintendents this morning. Our dollars, a large percentage of our dollars follows the students. So enrollment is key to us, and you'll see that in some of my slides. So here's a history of enrollment at Monroe Central. We went through a period from about 14 to 18 where we really saw a spike in enrollment. A lot of that had to do with some of the things that were going on to our west and Muncie. We had some consolidation and closing down of schools in Muncie. So we saw a large influx with open enrollment of students coming from that direction. So we saw a spike in our enrollment. Since about 18, you can notice that we've pretty much leveled off, and that's concerning to us. For some reasons that we'll see here in the next few slides. Okay, go ahead. This is the percentage of students that live outside of our district. So I talked about those 3 townships. Okay, that's our in-resident population. 30% of our students live at night outside of those 3 townships. They live outside of Monroe Central School Corporation's boundaries. We have 317 coming in. We have 98 students that live within our boundaries that actually go out. So we have a net gain of 219 students coming into Monroe Central. Go ahead. This just gives you an idea where they're coming from. And there's for various reasons. You know, a parent might work in over in Liberty Perry, so that might be a reason why one of our students might decide, the parent wants them to go with mom or dad to work at Liberty Perry schools and things like that. So there's various reasons why, but 23% of our out-of-district students come from Muncie. Actually, 22% come just across the line, the county line from Liberty Perry. We have some down from the Union School Corporation, Randolph Central, Delcom, but that gives you an idea of where our out-of-district kids are coming. Okay, go ahead. This is the growth of our out-of-district population since 15. As I said, you saw a big spike, but we've doubled in 7-8 years, our out-of-district population. So that's very important, as I talked about, when dollars follow the student. Go ahead. Our transfers out the last 3 years have gone up a little bit after and during COVID, but for the most part, they've hovered right around just below 100. Go ahead. So our net transfers continue to go up. Go ahead. This is the concerning slide, and I think you'll see this as a trend in Randolph County, and as educators and as superintendents, we're very concerned about this. So again, these are the students that live within my district, okay? Taking transfers out for a minute. Our legal settlement population continues to decline. This is not kids that are going out to other places. These are all the kids that live in those 3 townships that are school-aged. Wherever they decide to go, there are now only 839 of those folks. In just 2 years, there were 887. Right? And that's a trend we see in population in Randolph County and definitely in my school district. Okay, go ahead. All right, so I want to transition to some achievement. We talked about excelling. We push achievement at Monroe Central. We talk about it a lot. The measurement in the state of Indiana, like it or not, is called iLearn. It's a high stakes test that we give to all our 3rd through 8th grade students every year in math and English language arts, also social studies and science in various grade levels. But at Monroe Central, we really like to not just look at what that percentage is, but we really like to drill down and see, okay, how do we compare in the area? How are we doing compared against other school corporations? So in the math, passing percentage this past year of 28 area school corporations, we had the 2nd highest math achievement score, grades 3 through 8. English language arts, we had 9th highest. Passing both of these tests, grades 3 through 8, we were the 3rd highest. And we had the highest iRead 3 passing percentage of 28 area school corporations at 97.5%. This just gives you an idea of what corporations we're looking at. We're not just looking at Randolph County, how we fare, but we go all the way down to Connersville, Fayette County, up to Southern Wells, over to Madison Grant. But in East Central Indiana, how do we rank amongst these 28 school corporations? Okay. This gives you a little history of our math. Mrs. Northcutt had a lot to do with this when she was at Monroe Central Elementary. I'll give her a tremendous amount of credit for this. But we struggled in math. I was a high school principal before I became superintendent, and these numbers, even as you go back out, they were ugly. And we really put a focus on math instruction. I mean, we nailed it hard with our staff and our students, and we saw a tremendous jump. And for the last 4 years, taking out the year for COVID, there was no test results there this year, we've been 1st or 2nd in the 28 area school corporations in math passing percentage. We credit a lot of that to obviously our staff, professional development. We use a program called VIMI, which I know is gaining some traction finally, but we really like this program. It's a weekly test. It provides great data for our students, and just put a plug in for VIMI. English language arts. So this is a little concerning, and Mrs. Northcutt could attest to this. Prior to our really focus on math, we had tremendous scores in English language arts, and that was kind of our calling card for many years. For the last 2 years, we have seen a little drop here. Some of that has to do with COVID, but also I think it's just such a focus that we have with our staff in the upper elementary on math, that because we double up on instruction time in math, that we've seen a little drop there. So that's definitely an area that we're trying to get back to here this school year. So as you combine the two, for the last 4 cycles, first, second, or third in the area and passing on the I-Learn test, okay? And then the I-Read, this was something we were really proud of. This year, we had the 6th highest passing percentage in the state of Indiana on I-Read. This is that test that you give it all third graders to see if they are ready to move on in elementary and they have the skills to be able to read. And we had a 97% passing percentage on that. Budget, don't want to spend a lot of time on this, just give you a few numbers. Feel free to talk to you about it if you have any questions, but just give you an idea. Go ahead. In the state of Indiana, our local taxes are determined by our assessed valuation. We were already talking about this morning. This is a big hot topic with superintendents right now, but for my school corporation, and most of you know this that are familiar with it, my school corporation, we are an extremely rural corporation. We have little to no industry outside of agriculture, all right? Little to none. We are pretty much homes and a lot of farmland, no pun intended. So, RAV has not done a lot. It really has not fluctuated a lot over the years. As it has, our tax rate is adjusted, not because we took on a lot more debt, but just because you see ebbs and flows with AV. Obviously, this number here has caught us all a little surprised. Major changes. We saw a big jump in the state in our AV, some more than others, but our AV jumped to $278 million. So we project our tax rate to probably drop quite a bit this coming year. Go ahead. This just gives you an idea. Everybody talks to me, well, how much money is the school still? We have a $12.8 million budget for next year, just to give you an idea what kind of money we're looking at to run this place. Okay, so as the email came out about today, they wanted to know about concerns, and one is population. I already talked about that. My second concern that I have, not just for Monroe Central, but Randolph County and throughout the state, is teacher quality, retention, retaining teachers, and recruiting teachers. So to give you an idea, at Monroe Central we have 74 teachers. I have 33 teachers with 5 years or less of experience. Almost half of my teachers have only been in the profession for 5 years. We have a minimum salary of $44,500. We have a maximum salary of just over $75,000. To give you an idea of what teachers are making. So this is a graphic representation of the age, or not necessarily the age, but the experience of the staff at Monroe Central. This is concerning to me. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is many of these folks start, but they decide, this is not the profession I want. I can make more money somewhere else. I can have less stress in my life somewhere else. So these numbers are continuing to drop year after year after year. All right, a couple exciting things we have going on at MC. We redid our playground on the east at the elementary. A lot of work at our elementary. If you've not been over to the west side of the county, we added a new exit drive. We have so many kids that don't ride the bus and that are dropped off at school. So we added a $250,000 exit drive, which has really helped with our parking lot flow. We did a major renovation in our library. That building was built in the 80s. Things have changed in the library and media world so much in that period of time, as you can imagine. We still use books, but not, I mean, we don't have encyclopedias on those kind of things that we, so when that building was built, our library was, seriously, our library it was an amazing, I mean, it was like the crown jewel. It was enormous. So we have cut that library basically in half to add some small instruction rooms. Go ahead, I think I have a picture. Yeah, these are so important now, and I credit a lot of our success to small instruction. Typically you think of a classroom of 20 to 24 kids and a teacher up front talking and teaching and kids interacting. But what we have found with those kids that are struggling or just need a little extra help, we need to pull those kids out in a small group setting, try to get them caught up, take 20 minutes, 30 minutes to do that. So we just need more space like this, small group instruction rooms to do that. All right, so our big exciting, I see some familiar faces with this. Our big exciting point that we're looking at right now is our new preschool. So in the state of Indiana, preschool is not funded unless you qualify for special ed. Maybe that will change someday, but what we have seen is there is a need for quality preschool in Randolph County, and definitely on my side of the county. We just don't have a lot of options. So my board gave me the mission to get this done. So we are adding on for the first time in the history of Monroe Central Elementary. We're actually adding to the footprint of that building. We're doing a $2.75 million addition. We just broke ground a couple weeks ago, just under 8,000 square feet, 3 preschool room classrooms that will have their own restroom facilities, be state-of-the-art. It's going to be down that northwest corner of the elementary, and we're projected to be completed hopefully by next August in time for school to start. Go ahead. So this is the location of the site. If you're familiar with the building, there's an open green space just to the west of the entrance at the elementary. That's where this new preschool addition will go. Pretty exciting because we have kindergartners that's right next to their classroom. So they were jackhammering the other day. So they are really excited to see what's going on with the preschool addition. Okay, one other thing I want to talk about, and then I'll wrap up. But we were able to, in a competitive grant process 2 years ago, apply and were awarded a grant through the Indiana Center of Teacher Quality at IU to work with our teachers to better train folks on how to work with special ed students. And the idea is that we really want to push inclusion. What that means is instead of pulling those special ed kids out of the room, getting them in the regular classrooms, but being able to train teachers on what strategies work best for those kids, because a lot of our regular ed teachers don't know those strategies. So that's what this program's for. We're one of, like I said, 7 school corporations that were able to receive this award grant, a competitive process. We receive a little over $100,000 a year to help buy supplies for this. We're doing a lot of coaching. We have IU meeting with us throughout the 5-year process, working with our teachers, training teacher coaches that then will hopefully be able to go out and work with our staff on this. So we're excited about our ICTQ. So that's Monroe Central. You can go ahead and flip through a couple of these slides. We're a proud member of the Mid-Eastern Conference Athletic Association. We have tremendous opportunities for our students. We're very proud of our facilities. We continue to try to upgrade those. I'm proud to say our taxpayers always support that. We've never had any resistance on that, and I'm very thankful for that. We're excited about what we're doing there. Go ahead. Again, we have a great product, and we continue to try to just sell that and make sure that people know that we're there for everybody. So that's Monroe Central. If you have any questions, be glad to talk to you about it. MonroeCentral.org is our website, and I think that's it. So thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, now you've got a pattern set that the rest of you are going to follow. So Our next school corporation that we're going to be hearing from is, of course, Randolph Central, and that will be Roland Abraham, who will be talking about Winchester. And again, you have the profiles of these people in front of you, so in the interest of time, you can go through that yourself. But by looking through each profile of our superintendents, you can see that we bring a wide range of experience to Randolph County with their backgrounds as well, and previous occupations, as well as their current occupations that they hold with our school corporation. So, you're up.
All right. Well, he set the format, and I'm going to blow it out of the water. All right. So he took a very statistical approach to this. I am not. I'm taking a very programming approach to this. And just so you know, if you like my slides, you can thank Kristen Weigan. A lot of those came that she created for us. So you'll see a lot of her work up here. And like I said, I'm going to talk about take a programming approach to this presentation. Randolph Central, this year we have 1,340 students. Obviously those are in 3 elementary schools, a middle school, and a high school. Our elementary schools are pretty small. You got Willard and Baker right around 250, and Deerfield around 140. Okay, and there's a lot of, let me just say this, because this is something that comes up. There's always this fear that that our school corporation may consolidate Deerfield. I don't see that happening. I don't think that will happen. It's an extremely high performing school. It's clearly it's 10 miles north of Winchester, and it's just in today's climate, where if you shut down that school, those people can go to any other school or corporation around them. It just doesn't make sense for this corporation. It really doesn't. And it is our highest performing school. So I just want to kind of hit that really hard. And we've been doing some things there. We added the preschool up there that wasn't there before. It was first a GRIC preschool, and now this year it's our own preschool. And we'll talk about that in a little more detail. In terms of our budget is somewhere around $15 million annually. I'll just throw out some concerns that we have as a school corporation. Some of our biggest issues in terms of our budget have to do with property tax caps. We lose about $750. This year, the projection is $750,000 to cap property tax caps. Now, the new AVs will probably drop that, but that was our original projection before the new assessed values came out. So that's a big deal for us. Plus, we have TIF districts. We got several TIF districts within Winchester, and those are just shoving our people into that top property tax cap faster, because you collect a certain amount of AV, a certain amount of levy, and that levy's fixed. So as people, the TIF districts come in and property tax come in, then that's going to affect how much what that rate is. So we'll move on here. This is the high school. We got a lot going on at our high school. Some of the newest programs right now. Kristen is here, and actually she's what's your title? P-Tech Work-Based Learning Coordinator. So and we'll talk about that in a little more detail in a little bit, but she's actually working with our school and the community to try to strengthen those connections, and that will go hand in hand with what RC United is doing in terms of the internship. So it's pretty neat to see what's going on there. I'm not going to read all these slides to you. I'm just going to kind of hit the highlights. Obviously, go on to the next slide there. Agriculture and FFA. When I came to Randolph Central, we had a half-time ag teacher that had already retired twice. So literally that just wasn't good. So we hired Colton Prescott, and so he came in, got a lot of excitement about the program, and it blew up. And so then we hired Leah Jacobs. So we now have 2 full-time ag teachers in our school. And you've all seen the greenhouse. So a lot of things going on there. It's pretty exciting. Our FFA is extremely engaged in competitions constantly. Those people down there are working night and day. It's amazing to see what they do. And the successes. By the way, they had never competed in the welding program. Obviously, we started a welding program. And the first year our FFA went to compete in the welding program, they won the state championship. So pretty cool stuff. We'll see what kids do. The force of Winchester is a big deal. The force got pushed out with the growth of the Falcon Industries. They got pushed out of their summer build space. So to support what they do in terms of the force of Winchester, that new storage building you see on our site there by the football field, one bay is dedicated to the force of Winchester. That is their new build space. So they have a storage and build space so they can do what they do and continue to do that with excellence. You know, it's amazing to be part of a band program that goes to the State Fair Band Day, and it's a disappointment to get a third. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm serious. It's like, if you don't get first or second, you know, we really want the first, but you know, it's that's just the level of excellence at which they're competing. So, and we'll go on. I'll talk about a little more with that as well. Athletics, obviously a big deal. One big investment we've made in athletics is our weight room. Over the last, this actually was not even part of the budget. Every year they would tell me what they wanted, and I would find money from 5 different sources and buy about $20,000 to $30,000 worth of equipment. So we've invested about $150,000 in our weight room. It's all brand new equipment now. The next piece is the floor. It's already been ordered, but we can't get it in. So things are just taking a lot of time these days. So that's kind of our most recent investment in athletics. Beyond that, though, you see we've got a brand new softball diamond. So that was pretty cool. TOA kicked in $50,000 to that, and some other community members another $20,000. So, and that was actually a Title IX issue. We literally did not have our own girls softball facility. They were playing in the park forever, and so it was nice to kind of get that behind us, get that done. And that's a beautiful facility out there. And now our athletic facility in general, with the new softball diamond and the baseball diamond. We started the softball project, and then we were going to put a new press box behind the baseball field, and they come and tell me that the backstop is 12 feet too close to home plate. And I'm like, what? You know, I'm not a baseball person. I didn't know that. And so we redesigned that and ended up tearing down the dugouts. So now that really looks like a cohesive athletic facility. So it's kind of neat. And the restrooms, obviously, outside were a big deal as well. Next slide. Early college. This is a huge deal at Winchester Community High School. And you can see some of the numbers there. You know, in terms of savings, $250,000 was saved for the 2021-22 school year. There were 1,639 college credits earned, and that's $250,000 in savings to our families. It's a pretty big deal. In terms of the Indiana College Core, we're averaging somewhere between 20 to 30 kids a year that are getting that Indiana College Core, which means they've completed their first year of college before they leave. And then and that's just the ones that complete that. There's other kids that graduate with 10 or 9 or 12 or 15 credit hours. So it's pretty exciting to see what's done in the early college. Kristen's job as a P-Tech work-based coordinator, did I say that right? Close? All right. Her job is actually an extension of the early college. And as a P-Tech workplace learning coordinator, I'm not getting it right. I know I'm not. That was close. All right. And her job is to kind of take a different angle with that and find those kids that really struggle in the academic wing, and to create a program around our digital machining and precision machining and advanced manufacturing and welding, to create a program to support those kids that really struggle academically, and build the connections in the community to get those kids out and doing those site visits, doing those internships, so that it's just a continuous flow for high school right into that job, and possibly right on to additional training, whether it's Ivy Tech, a 2-year degree, or something of that nature. So that's her job, is really to make that a continuous flow and to get industry involved in that process. And what I mean by that is, she might go out to Silvertown Mint and say to Brent McCormick, is that right? Yeah. Say to him, hey, what's a problem that your industry, you had to fix in your workflow or some other issue? What's the problem that you had? And he will outline what that problem is, come and present that to these kids that are in the P-Tech program, and say, this is the problem, try to give them all the particulars that he can. And then they will try to spend the next couple weeks solving that problem and then creating a solution. And then they will have to go back, and he'll come back and they will present that solution to him. and then he'll work with them, and so, and sometimes they will have already solved the problem, but so he says, well, exactly, that's what we did, and so on and so forth. So, and they'll have to gather the resources to solve the problem, because they're going to be solving a problem they don't know all the details about. So it's all about building those skills into kids so they can really step into that workplace environment. All right. Falcon Industries, that has just kind of blown up. So once again, like I told you, they pushed the force of Winchester out, so I had to fix that problem. But just in terms of what they're producing, they do a lot of work for TOA. They build carts for TOA that TOA pulls around their factory and puts stamped parts on, and I guess they're pulling them now on four-wheel vehicles out there or something. I'll have to get out there and do another tour sometime soon. So they do a lot of that, a lot of job shop type things. Somebody just brings something that's broken and they fix it and pick it up. A lot of times it's something new that somebody wants, and so they come and talk to the kids. The kids kind of get all the details. There's a front office part of it. So some of the kids that work for Falcon Industries have nothing to do with precision machining or welding. They're the business people. So they do the financial side of it. They do the estimate side of it, and kind of doing research. What does steel cost? Whatever the project is. I've got a couple of projects in my house that was done by Falcon Industries. So pretty cool things that they're doing. All right. Obviously, one thing about welding. This is an interesting thing. Roger King, who helped us start our welding program, and was a real magnet in terms of kids. And if you don't know anything about high schools, personality in a teacher makes all the difference in successful programs. It just really does. And he was that magnet. He really drew kids to him, and he was a very great technical welder. He wasn't great with paperwork, but great technical welder, and he really taught those kids to weld and weld well. He won a state championship, but he instructed those kids that won that state championship. That tells you something about the guy. But he finally retired. And so before he retired, we hired Ryan. What's Ryan's last name? Farling. And Ryan is actually was trained at Hobart and then went out to industry, shipbuilding, I believe. And then he came back to Hobart as an instructor. Well, we were able to snag him. So we literally have one Hobart trained, well, not just Hobart trained, but a Hobart instructor. Now, if you know anything about welding, the Hobart Institute of Welding Technology, if you don't know anything about them, there's probably 3 or 4 schools in the country that are at that level in terms of welding. They're at the pinnacle, okay? Well, we got him. Well, then Roger King. So we had Roger King that was 2/3 a day, and then we had Ryan Farling. So Roger King decided to retire, and we were able to get another instructor from Hobart. So we literally have 2 Hobart instructors in our high school. If you'd have told me we could have pulled that off when we started the program, I'd have told you were crazy. It is amazing, folks. It really is. And they're a little bit younger than Roger, so they do paperwork, so it's a great program. And we've got people in that program from all of I think there's been somebody there from all of the Randolph County schools, probably except Union. And we have kids there from Northeastern. We want to get that program up to 60 kids. And the commissioners gave us $86,000, I believe it was, for the expansion of that program. So the welding lab will take over the hall. We'll divert the hall, turn to the south, to the east, and we will expand that program. Actually, the bids are out for that. We actually put out the RFP, and that should be, I think the bids come in on that on October 17th. So exciting. Obviously, our vocal music department, very proud of what they do. The musical every year is just phenomenal. And obviously our band programs. We're very active drumline and color guard in the winter. I mean, it's just very active. And that creates some issues for us in terms of space, because you don't want kids practicing until 10 o'clock at night, but you got athletic programs that are going 100 miles an hour. And then you also have those 2 that are competing year round. They compete in the wintertime. Next. Esports, huge. We actually have esports now at the middle school and the high school. And their kids are getting esports, scholarships at universities. So you don't have to go play basketball to get a scholarship anymore. You can play video games and get a scholarship to play on an esports team at Trine. I mean, it's amazing. So obviously we want kids to have every opportunity, and not every kid's an athlete, So we want them to have those opportunities. So we actually have a new lab this year that's kind of a Project Lead the Way lab and an esports lab. So to kind of keep that program going and to strengthen it. Project Lead the Way. We were really kind of, late to this game, which was a bummer. I was a Project Lead the Way trained teacher down in Indianapolis. Never got to teach it. I was trained, but I never got to teach it, which is bizarre. I went into administration before I actually got to teach it. But anyway, so we started Project Lead the Way, the launch program at the elementary schools, and then we brought it into the middle school, and I think we have just 6 different middle school gateway courses now, taught by 4 different teachers. So we've got a lot of people in the mix there, which makes that really healthy, which was awesome. And then and this year we've actually added Introduction to Engineering Design, Project Lead the Way version. Now, we actually had that before, but the Advanced Manufacturing Precision Machining thing has blown up so quickly that Brian Clausen, our instructor, didn't have time on his schedule to teach Introduction to Engineering Design. He taught the non-PLTW version of that. Well, so now he's got kids that are coming in that program that don't know CAD, because that's where they were learning the CAD software. So we had to create another option to get those kids trained. And Matt Kurtz came in for us to be a great volleyball coach, but he does other things during the day. So he is now our Project Lead the Way teacher for Introduction to Engineering Design, and kids love him. I think he's got 2 sections of Introduction to Engineering Design. We will add Principles of Engineering next year, and those are just great. Those programs are all centered around the design process, so just great thinking for kids in solving problems. Special projects, if you go to our campus, you see them happening. Obviously, you can see it right here. That's the storage building. That building has 3 functions, and it was designed to have 3 functions. The bay closest to over here, this is the the Force of Winchester Bay. The middle one's the maintenance bay. And then actually, the bay that's closest to the greenhouse is actually, quote, the head house / potting room for the greenhouse. Those 2 are actually connected, so there's a big door between them. And actually, we've had real struggle getting the greenhouse. That's a state-of-the-art greenhouse. Struggle getting it up and running because of equipment and parts, and we waited forever for a water meter. I mean, just crazy stuff. And actually, Tuesday morning is where the instructors are actually going to be trained, and we'll be able to get that up and running this next week. So I know they're wanting to get dirt in there to start planning, and so pretty excited about that. So next, there's just an up-close view. That is a view from the new band tower. I'm going to top the new band tower there and just take a picture of the building just because it was there and I wanted to climb it. And there it is. You can see it's, and that's once again excellence in terms of the Force of Winchester. We put the thing up, and the first practice I see them actually using it, they literally have, the collar guard was at one level. I don't know, the what do you call them? I'm not a music person. The brass people were on another level, and then you had the drummer, the main guy on the top. So they literally use all 3 levels when they're out there, and it's all about precision. You know all about that. So, all right, there's the sheep. That's just so I don't have to pay somebody to mow the solar array. The solar array, just so you know, the guarantee, that was an energy savings project, and the guarantee is $75,000 a year in savings. The projection is actually $110,000. We have, if you go into our buildings, there's 2 displays, one that's near the Commons and one that's down by the high school office. And it's actually 2 separate solar arrays, if you didn't realize that. It's about 60% of that power goes to the Driver Middle School meter. 40% of it goes to the 2 meters that are on the high school. But we're right near that $110,000 savings, and I deliver graphs every month to the school board so they can see those savings. Plus, we did a complete LED conversion for the whole district a couple of years ago, saving quite a bit of money that way. Driver Middle School, a lot going on there as well. Esports has been a big addition to that, and coding, there's significant things going on with coding. They've recently come online with Vimy Math, and this is their 2nd year with Vimy Math. Need to get those scores up. We've started doing professional development every Wednesday, early release Wednesday, and so we actually have in every school a 50-minute dedicated professional development time, and we're trying to really increase the collaboration among teachers in that process to really get scores up and do all that we can to increase student achievement. Robotics, two of our elementary schools, Willard and Deerfield, have robotics teams as well as the middle school. I would love someday to get a first robotics team. I don't know if we can do that as a single school. Maybe these guys want to get in on it. It'd be nice to have a Randolph County first robotics team someday, but it'd be great to see something like that happen, but that's a pretty big initiative, so we'll see someday. Preschool at Deerfield. Like I told you, when I first came, there was no preschool at Deerfield. It was all at Baker. So we opened a GRIC preschool at Deerfield, and that was successful. I think we got up to 12 students there. This year, it is actually we call it Deerfield Preschool, Deerfield Elementary School Preschool, and we're operating it ourselves. And they just became Pathways to Quality Level 3. So we just got our Level 3 rating for Paths to Quality, which makes us eligible for the On My Way pre-K dollars. Now, we missed the window, but now we're eligible. And so next year, when that window comes around in the spring, those people will be able to apply for those, and that would pay for, in terms of income requirements, there are income requirements there, but 4-year-olds, okay? And then also the, what is it called, CDF, CCDF, vouchers, we are eligible for those as well. Both of our preschool teachers are working through to get their CDA. And sorry about all these letters. But that is actually a certification. So I think one of them already has completed 60 hours. And she will probably, by the end of this school year, she'll have her 120, and so she'll have the CDA. And then the assistant teachers working on the process as well. We try to really incentivize them to get those done. So, and their pay, their hourly rate goes up as they finish those. So pretty excited about that. Baker Elementary School is our K through 2 building. And in terms of initiatives across the district, one of them, this is interesting. For the first time ever, since we now have those 50-minute professional development time, all of our elementary schools, all 3 of them, come together for professional development. We were way too isolated in terms of working together. So now they come to Willard actually, and all 3 of those schools do professional development together. Just want to build collaboration and teamwork. Collaboration is one of those things that pushes student achievement through the roof. So we want to spend a lot of time and effort in that. Another big initiative in terms of especially, and this has started at Baker, but we've now trained all of our teachers K through 2 in Orton Gillingham. So they all are specialists now in reading. And we'll continue that. We'll go on to grade 3 and 4, and we'll move that up as well. And like I said, Deerfield, high-performing school, and they've consistently an A school. Willard, got a new principal at Willard, Jordan Winkle. I think the people are pretty excited about him stepping into that role, doing a lot of great things there. Their robotics team is always pretty active every year there. So excited about what the leadership that he's going to bring to Willard, hometown, big name in education locally. So I think he's a great fit for that school. So this is our site. If you're not aware, this is actually where the new softball diamond is, and the solar array is now here. Sorry, I don't have a more up-to-date photo here. So that was purchased, I think that was purchased like 3 years before I got here, so 8-9 years ago. And then we were able to purchase this. So now we now own the 22.7 acres that was between us and the highway. So we own all of that property from here over, and that was purchased from Dave Hendrickson just a couple of years ago. All right? And now we own everything and this is actually the corner. This is the Winchester Cafe. There's this little house that was beside it is now torn down. It was ugly. I'm thankful for that. We now own this house. They actually have bought another house. They actually had a year and 9 months to move on, find a house and move on because we didn't need it right then. So they're actually starting to take down the fence and move out. We own this property as well. So this is gone, and you can see remember there was a putt-putt golf course there or something? So all those concrete structures are gone now. And then we own this house here as well. This is the one we don't have. It's owned by a trust in Florida. We'll get it. It's just a matter of going through the legal process. All right? Well, it's empty and it's a mess, so, here's an issue that we're going to have to deal with the next 5 to 7 years. Where am I on time? Am I talking way too long? All right. Oh, there you go. Sorry. Just keep taking your time. All right. Right now, this is all here, and this is here as well. This is what's currently Everything else you see is new. We have to deal with our field house issue. Obviously, when they built the high school, it was like 10 years old, 8 or 10 years old or something, so there was no sense to tear it down. But we've got to deal with that issue. That building is aging. There's several issues with the field house. Number one, there's no space around the floor, which is not safe. And you go to a modern gym, there's 6 feet around the floor, at least. So that's a big issue. There's no parking. Well, I shouldn't say no parking. Very little parking. So we'll never be able to host a sectional or regional there. That's just not going to happen. And there's issues in structurally, not the steel part of the building, but there's some wall issues that we actually have an engineer looking at now. So it's just, we've got to find a solution for that. This is one solution. Go on back to that picture if you don't mind. This is one solution. I don't know if this is a solution we'll choose. Buying that property right adjacent to our own parking lot has given us options that we didn't have before. Because now we could build a freestanding field house right there and not have to build a parking lot. Okay? Or we can do this and expand the current gym with some of these auxiliary spaces around it. But then we're going to need another auxiliary gym, a small gym, because we cannot operate a 6 through 12 facility with a hyperactive color guard in the wintertime and drum line with just 2 gymnasiums. You can't do it. So we're going to have to figure out what solution is. My board hasn't decided. We have accelerated the timetable, though. We look to issue bonds on this project in 2027. So we're going to come up with a solution and make that move forward. Okay, go ahead. Oh, those are some of the options. Go on. Hey, just an interesting thing. We bought the river. So now we have an erosion problem. If you look there, this is just interesting stuff. You know, the river's taking this wall out, and so we're actually trying to get that fixed, and we're working with the the Natural Department of Natural Resources and Hoosier Aquatic, and so go to the next slide. And there's the solution. That's kind of interesting stuff. As a natural solution, as opposed to in the middle of the night bringing in riffraff and pressing it in. That was one solution I was given. Just don't let anybody know you're doing it and fix it, So, but that's a natural solution. Next slide. And just updates that are going on. This actually was the original windows until this summer. Really flimsy windows, and so we've kind of done some energy savings projects, and that's one of them. Next slide. By the way, we're currently in a $3 million project a clean air project or air improvement quality, whatever project at the high school, middle school. So for the first time ever, and these were actually original units, not this one, but the one that was there, in that middle school gym. They were original from the original construction. So now those have all been swapped out, and that's not quite finished. There's actually a vent over the end of that, but the middle school gym is now air conditioned, so it was kind of weird. Okay, I'm done. All right, there we go. There's some other things going on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You saved me from getting the hook. All right, next up we're going to go all the way across the county and Randolph Eastern. Aaron?
I'll start by saying having K.I.S.S TV here is one of the luxuries and challenges that I face on a daily basis, because Adrian's like, oh, is this live stream? And everything we do happens to be live stream, which creates its own unique challenges in its own right. But I'm Aaron Black. I'm proud resident and graduate from Union City Senior High School, Union City Community High School when I graduated from there. I'm very thankful for this event today, thankful for Randolph County United, their board, their staff for putting this together. I think it's a great way for us to highlight the awesome things that our schools are doing. To my colleagues over here, thankful for them. Work very well together. I think there's a lot of questions on, can't we do more with the schools that we have? And we do a lot. I send students to Rollins Welding Program. They have students that have joined our K.I.S.S TV program in the past. Adrian and I are partnered through a thing called Teacher Share, which has allowed some of his students to take IU, ACP, U.S. History through one of our teachers through a virtual setting. And we have students taking IU, ACP, Spanish 3 through his teacher at Monroe Central through a virtual setting. So those things are alive and well. So I do appreciate those partnerships, and I appreciate the educators in Randolph County, because it does make this a very, very special place to live and serve. So with that being said, it's kind of fun to sit back and watch two presentations. My presentation is kind of a mesh between the two. You're going to get some data and you're going to get some programming, but it's fun to see how each of our brains work, and that's what makes us unique. So with that being said, Jackie, we'll get moving here. Everybody should have a one-pager data sheet that we'll be pushing out to our community following this event too. But I think first of all, the thing you have to understand with Randolph Eastern and what makes us extremely unique as opposed to our counterparts here in the room is our demographics, what makes up the students at Randolph Eastern. So you can see that our enrollment, this is pre-K through 12, our enrollment has climbed a little bit, which is really, really encouraging. If you look at our K through 6 numbers, pre-K through 6 numbers, they are really, really good, as good as they've been in a long time. So that's encouraging for us. The challenge comes with this. So if you look to the far right, none of our schools in the county are quite built like this. We are about 35-36% Hispanic, which is incredible. It gives our students a different perspective on a daily basis. But along with that is this number here, which is climbing dramatically. We're almost 20% EL in our school corporation. And that means that 20% of our students come to us and English is their second language. It's not their first language. So if you can imagine yourself hopping on a bus or driving down south across the border to Mexico and going to school where everybody speaks Spanish, I don't think many of us would be very successful in that setting, because that's a challenge. So 20% of our students come with that background to our school corporation. When you pair that with the fact that our free and reduced numbers are 67%, actually I had them ran yesterday, they're 68.5%, which creates its own unique set of challenges, but it's also gives us some pretty incredible opportunities. So I'm going to sprinkle in Randolph Eastern's challenges because they're going to match some of the schools and our opportunities throughout the presentation. But our biggest challenge, to Adrian's point, is our teaching staff. Right now we are fully staffed, have been fully staffed with great, incredible educators. My fear is that in this world where education is looked upon poorly from time to time, and has become very stressful for our educators, that our young educators will not stick with the profession. So we have a responsibility to make sure that they stay. And beyond that, for Randolph Eastern, our challenge is making sure that our staff is not only certified to teach, but they also need to be working on some ESL certifications as well to best serve the students of which we have in our building. I'm happy to say that we are close to approving a contract that will start our teachers at $44,000. When I got there in 2019, they were at $36,000, and they've been moved up to $44,000. Adrian takes a lot of pride in beating me by $500 in that world, but he did tell me there's always next year, so we'll go after it then. But and our highest paid teachers are at $69,000, so we've made a lot of ground up in that world, but we will have a huge responsibility to maintain that pace, to keep good educators in front of our students. So all that's to go to our iLearn scores. I'm not one, hats off to Adrian and Monroe Central and the work that they do with their iLearn scores. I'm one that looks at our iLearn scores as opportunity. Obviously it's for growth. I don't like it because it's a 4-day evaluation of our students. And when you have students that are 70% free and reduced and 20% ESL, and they come in on those 4 days and just aren't having a good day, their ability to take a test that's high stakes like that, the cards are stacked against them. We have a high need, underserved population, and a test such as this makes them look bad And the reality is we got some really, really incredible things going on in Union City, and this is such a small part of that. And I rarely, if ever, talk to my staff about our iLearn scores because there's so many other opportunities that we have to impact our students on a daily basis outside of a standardized test that is built for students that are going to go to a four-year college. This exam, it's proven if you pass the exam in third, fourth, fifth grade, you're most likely going to attend a four-year college. For the most part, we don't discourage that for our students, but for the most part, that's not who our kids are. We have to be able to accommodate and teach the kids that we have in our buildings to best be productive citizens in our community. Next slide, Jackie. To go along with test scores, obviously we still test at ISTEP, SAT, your graduation rate. Our graduation rate is very good. Again, considering, I will just give you a glimpse into this. We've had students from Nicaragua, Honduras, Mexico come to us in grades 10 or 11 with 0 credits. And we have a responsibility to get them as much exposure to not only English acquisition, but credits that they can take. So we've formed an ESL Alternative School in our district, services 12 to 15 kids. And what that is an accelerated program for them to learn English acquisition with teachers that have that skill set, and lets them to take high school accredited classes in their native language. So they take algebra, English 9, 10, they take those in Spanish to help them get the credits necessary to be successful. So to say that with those challenges, to say that we've maintained this graduation rate, which is above the state average, is pretty outstanding. So I'm really proud of our staff for that. Next item here, this is an opportunity for Randolph Eastern. So this is a look at our cash balance. And again, I think colleagues next to me would say, that's pretty incredible. Randolph Eastern's in great financial spot. Our budget on an annual basis is just over $10 million. And this is cash reserves that we've been able to build over years, over time, to some really, really good work of past superintendents and leadership as well. But it puts us in a great position to work on the teacher pay issue, work on facilities, but also work on programming, right? Making sure that we're putting the professionals and the facilities in front of our kids that will allow them to be successful. So this is a great snapshot for you to look at the financial health of your corporation, and I'm very proud to stand here and say that we've done a very nice job at Randolph Eastern maintaining a very good balanced budget. Our tax rate annually runs between $1.16 and $1.26, which is right around the state average. One of our challenges at Randolph Eastern, and Roland spoke to this, is our tax caps. Every year we lose about $425,000 to tax caps. And part of that, and Roland and I are different in this, is we compete for tax funds with municipalities, with the city, which our other rural districts don't necessarily have that. So that's what really is driving our tax caps and impacts our schools in a great way. So we have to be very creative in how we use our funds. At Randolph Eastern, we're one big building, pre-K through 12. So that gives us a great amount of flexibility as far as when you talk about energy costs and just upkeep of those things. When you're one building, one campus, it allows us to keep our costs down. So that's our financial snapshot. And again, you guys have these, and I'm happy to answer questions after the program here. Next item here that I think is important for us to be transparent on is how we're using these federal dollars that we've received since COVID. Randolph Eastern has been the beneficiary of nearly $3 million in ESSER dollars. Those come with some strings, as I'm sure you all are very aware. This is a breakdown of how we've used that money. You'll see a big part of nearly $500,000 went to cleaning and HVAC, so we've done some HVAC upgrades as well. replace some rooftop units, put in some CO2 sensors, those type of things to make sure that our rooms are not only quality air, but we're maintaining a good, being energy efficient. There you go. PPE supplies, cleaning supplies. Again, one thing that schools were covered up, we are still getting covered up in Lysol wipes. Our opportunity to get pallets and pallets of Lysol wipes, it's unbelievable for free. Somebody's paying for them, don't get me wrong, but so that cost wasn't maybe as high as you think, but we did spend money there. The other item here is staffing. A lot of the ESSER $2 in the state of Indiana went towards stipends towards our teachers, just for the challenges that they faced during that time. So I think most schools were able to pay a nice stipend to their staff just to thank them and recognize the work they put in. But the biggest portion of our dollars have went towards technology improvements. I think we've been deemed the only school in the state of Indiana that has our own broadband tower on our campus, and what that tower has done is allowed us the opportunity to push out the school's Wi-Fi to multiple points throughout our community, so students that don't have access or can't afford high quality internet access have multiple spaces which they can go and get free internet, safe internet that runs through our servers. We also have increased our ELL supports, our RTI supports, our special ed. Again, that's that small group instruction. Again, we talked about to start high need students, more barriers, more challenges. So we've invested a lot of that money into additional staffing to help support them and bring them back to where they were pre-pandemic. And then tutoring, mental health, obviously a huge concern for everybody in the room with our society and specifically our students. So that's just an idea of where that $3 million and how it's been budgeted since we received it. Something that we are extremely happy with is our work in the world of competitive grants. Since 2019, when I moved into this role, we established a position called a grant manager. And they're in charge of grant and STEM integration. And what that's done is put us in a place that we go after just about every competitive grant in the state of Indiana and some federal competitive grants. And this is the result of that. Nearly $4.8 million in 18 to 24 months in competitive grant funds to help us meet the needs of our students. This is a general list of where those grants have come from. A lot of Project Lead the Way grants. Ardall has been very giving to Project Lead the Way, and we've been a beneficiary for grants there. Alternative school grants. Reed Health has been great to work with as well, but just a number of different grants. We just were awarded $3 million through our Next Gen School Improvement Grant, which is a competitive grant that 8 schools out of 55 in the state of Indiana that were eligible earned. So we are doing our very best to access dollars outside of the money of which we receive through our normal supports. Another, I think, very important project that if you don't know that's happening in this county is this Vision Corner project. If you don't know my mayor, Chad Spence, he's a high energy, very visionary, tough guy to keep up with. We are terrible for each other because it's always yes to doing what's right for our kids and for our community. It's always yes and we'll figure it out. This is a perfect example of that. He said yes to buying a building downtown Union City that was an eyesore. It was referred to as the Green Monster. Just an awful building for visitors to see when they come down our corridor. So he attacked that right off the bat when he became mayor. We developed a partnership that will bring K.I.S.S TV. We'll bring a state-of-the-art studio downtown, and we'll also have our Apache screen printing business down there, which I'll talk about here shortly. Beyond that, though, we've established partnerships with higher ed. Ivy Tech is going to start teaching English courses, English in the workplace courses to our Hispanic and EL students. Actually starting mid-October. The building's not done yet. We're going to start hosting these classes in our school, but they've been a great partner. you can see the list. Ball State University has been a partner. Roland talked about Esports. We're starting an Esports program too, partnering with Ball State, and it will be housed in the upstairs of Vision Corner. And a lot of great partners coming to the table. Cardinal Ethanol just stepped up and made a huge donation, financial commitment. I got the time already? Come on, I'm working here, but made a huge commitment. So this is a great collaborative project. If you want more, there's plenty of information out there. But please ask. This is for the county. This is not for Union City. This is absolutely for everybody. So. Programming, I've got to move here. We are a leader in media school, so that's that social emotional support programming. Project Lead the Way, proud to say we're pre-K through 12. We have kids that are 4 and 5 that participate in Project Lead the Way, which is STEM coursework all the way through 12th grade. So we have 2 high school programs, which is engineering and computer science, and Project Lead the Way. K.I.S.S TV, celebrating our 50th anniversary of K.I.S.S TV, the first TV and radio student-ran course in the state of Indiana. Still alive and well today. They're here. Thank you, Corey and students. You guys are awesome. They do a great job covering the county. School-based enterprises, we have 2. I'm moving, I'm sorry. It's really hard when you have a former teacher tapping his watch, moving you along here. But we have 2 school-based enterprises. One is the TP, which serves alternative food items during the lunch hour. And we have an Apache screen printing business that prints signs, political signs, T-shirts, everything you can imagine. If you can do it with Cricut, we do it through Apache. Those are ran and solely by students. The only other school, there's 5 schools in the state of Indiana that have school-based enterprise, 2 school-based enterprises. The nearest population to us is Brownsburg. So if you put that in perspective, I think they only have like 3,000 students compared to our 320. So. And obviously our FFA program, alive and well. We are in the process of approving a building budget to build a new FFA building or agricultural building right behind our school. So that's extremely exciting. We've invested in 2 agriculture teachers here in the past 4 or 5 years at Union City. So that program is alive and well. So some reasons to celebrate. I'm moving here. Sorry, Mr. Leahy. Project Lead the Way has been a huge partner. If you go back to 2020, we've been a distinguished school district. And year after year, we're one of 6 or 8 in the entire country that get to fly this banner. So we're extremely proud of that work. We are also a STEM certified school, which my colleagues, I know they're working on that. That's not an easy bar to cover. So our Northside Elementary K-6 is a STEM certified school. And the last thing I want to touch on here is this gala that was hosted by the Department of Education, the first one of its kind. Randolph Eastern was fortunate enough to be invited to this gala. We were awarded the Leading and Learning Award for our teachers' participation in professional development. And that professional development is very geared towards meeting the specific needs of our students, ESL training, those type of things. Our teachers did it. They got involved. They take our training very seriously. They were recognized for that, and we were awarded $425,000 for their efforts. So a lot of incredible things going on in Randolph Eastern. We're very proud of what we do. We have some very unique challenges compared to anybody in the state. There's nobody quite built like us. But our staff is up for the challenge. And if you want any more information, we are extremely active on social media. Obviously, K.I.S.S TV is everywhere. We are now on TikTok, which is really, it's an interesting world, but we are there. There's always room to find out information about us on social media. So that's all I have. Thank you.
I had 3 minutes.
Well, I was going to say, Donnie, I am sorry. I tried, but they weren't catching my signal, so it's all
It's
yours.
my hour presentation. Just hunker down. You'll be fine. Can you bring it up? I sent it to you. If not, I can get my computer. Okay, so my name is Donnie Bausman. I'm superintendent at Randolph Southern School Corporation. This is my 18th year there. I was the elementary principal for 6 years, and then under Mike Necessary, advised me to go into getting my EDS, and I did, and I rolled into and was very fortunate to get the superintendent's position in 2011. Next slide, please. I think if you just hit return, it'll go.
Sorry.
So I feel like some of you, I don't know you in the room, so I put my bio in here a little bit. I did not start out in traditional education. I went into electronic engineering, and I worked in that field for 8 years. The last 4 years, I went to school full-time, had a family, and had to quit my full-time job to student teach. Nowadays, we can put a teacher in the classroom and you can get paid while you're student teaching. You just got to work something out. So I made that sacrifice because I wanted to work with kids, and I wanted to also coach. And so as I moved up the ladder, I went and advanced my education. So I have a kind of a unique perspective here, because that industry standard that we're talking about, I worked in that field. And I mean, I'm telling you, there are electronics and computer technology from where it was in 1988 when I got my degree. They're the earth and the moon apart now. So again, I've worked there for that long. I also I've taught 4 years at the in the elementary. I've taught 2 years at the middle schools, at different schools. Taught at Richmond, taught at Muncie, taught in an alternative school, and then I came to Randolph Southern, and I look back. People say, "Why do you say Randolph Southern?" I mean, there's been almost every superintendent in Wayne, Delaware, Henry County has seen a change, except myself. But the school corporation has been very good to me. I've had a great board, and I feel like that, why move? It's something that I like. Can you guys hear me, or do you need this? I got a loud voice. So anyway, a part of a lot of different associations, the Indiana Small Rural Schools Association, or several of us that are in that. That is being able to we are about 130 schools strong. And that is a pretty important. We have lobbying efforts at our state house. I'm going to get into that here in a little bit, but if you would next. I don't want to miss this. Go back. My passions. I adore my wife, my daughter, my grandson. I love playing golf and have tremendous joy in helping kids. That's really important. Family is really, really important to me. It's probably the most important thing. So our journey in technology, we are a one-to-one school. We started that journey in 2013 by overhauling our infrastructure. We invested $115,000, and we had a goal to be one-to-one. Now, what does one-to-one mean? It means that traditional textbook that you have is going away. Well, in elementary, it's a little bit more difficult, especially at the kindergarten through 6th grade level. 6th grade, 5th grade, you can kind of slide to it, but you get in the upper grades, it's a little bit more conducive. But you also have to train your staff. So we had received a $30,000 planning grant in 2014, a $75,000 grant in 2016. Every staff member in our school corporation is Google trained. We are a Google reference school. That means schools call us for advice. We upgraded our network in 2019, 2021, and our budget and payroll software. We all collaborated together, met with the budget payroll people. We brokered a deal. Now, some of us went with one vendor and others went with another vendor, but we got a good deal out of that. We collaborated to do that. And I would tell you, my colleagues here, we do it every day. When folks out here in the county are telling you that we don't collaborate, I'm going to tell you, we call, we text every morning. Hey, you going on a fog delay? Because if you don't go, I'm going to get killed. I'm going to get to that too. So again, a Google reference school, tax rates. And in red doesn't mean bad. I just highlighted those. So as you can see, Randolph Southern is the 8th lowest tax rate. Now that's good and bad. If you're a farmer in Randolph County, you're going to make a lot of money on your crops, right? The problem is this money here is really tough. I'm one superintendent. I don't have an assistant, and I've been doing it for 12 years, and you cannot believe how many nights I'm up late working. But keep going, if you would, please. So I've got everyone's tax rates, and what's amazing, my wife looked at this presentation last night, and there's everyone's tax rates. If you go on down, she looked at the last one, and she went, "Are you kidding?" Now I want you to think about this. What they have versus 87 cents. Are there opportunities that those kids have that Randolph Southern kids don't have? You betcha. How many, if you drive on I-69, how many softball and baseball diamonds do they have in Hamilton County right there? You know what? We have one, and we didn't have one when I got there. We have one now. These are the problems and unique challenges that we face at Randolph Southern. Go ahead, please. Our enrollment. Our enrollment has slid a touch. Now, I will tell you, when I first got there, we had 630 students. What Adrian said is accurate. It is concerning. But you know what's amazing to me? I had a paraprofessional working for us, and you get to know people, being somewhere for 18 years. Paraprofessional said to me, "You know what, my daughter's getting out of here, and she's going to move up the ladder," and bam, bam, bam. She did. She moved out. She got her master's degree. You know where she's at now? Right back in Randolph County. Has a grandchild, and that paraprofessional's going, "I love my grandbaby." What I'm saying is our challenge is to keep kids here. It's tough. We are a rural community. I am bordered by Ohio. I can't expand that way. I can't pick up kids in Ohio. I would if the state let me get away with it, but it's not going to happen. So we are 50% free and reduced lunch. You see what we have here, 34 teachers. Wow, that's not very many. We share. Our band teacher, who's brilliant, mind you, I mean, this guy, we didn't have a band last year. We haven't performed at the band competition for 19 years, and he came in and we put a product on that field that I was so proud of. It was something that we didn't have an elementary band. So he teaches 5th and 6th grade band. We also share our industrial arts teacher and they pick up a period to help with the periods that have to be covered. Because every teacher gets a prep, and so we utilize that. We utilize our paraprofessionals. Again, I want to take a look here. When folks look and say, "Hey, you know, I want you to look at that right there," because I can tell you right now, there's a lot of work that goes into that. I would love to hire a grant coordinator, and we might end up doing it. If I can kind of see the kind of results that Aaron has gotten, then I tell you what, something we need to look into. If you would, please. Our I-Learn test scores, our academics, our graduation rate, 95.5. I want you to take a look here. I put it over 11 years since I've been as a superintendent. I feel like accountability, you know, I got to look at that. Here's our test scores. I didn't really do a comparison between a county. You know, again, we work together here, and it's really tough. Except on Friday and Saturday nights when we're playing basketball or football or whatever. You know, we work together every day. Our iRead scores, excluding COVID, 91.4 attendance rate. Kids come to school. Our AP, I mean, these are the courses we offer. We also offer U.S. history, but we're kind of struggling that a little bit. And that's probably something we really need to focus in on. Because, you know, our moral compass here of our society, we're going to get to that too. But these are college credits. Last year we were able to give away $60,000 to our graduates from local scholarship. I'll talk about Randolph Southern Scholarship Committee. If you would, please. Am I talking too fast? Okay. These are the classes that we offer at Randolph Southern. And I want you to take a look here. Again, it's kind of remarkable that we can offer these AP classes that we have here at Randolph Southern. We are a small high school. But it takes a lot of unique scheduling in your master calendar. And when you have an English teacher that leaves you, that's doing fantastic. Aaron took her. That literally, she's fantastic. And I congratulate him and congratulate her for, you know, but again, when you have a teacher leave you, you know, like that, it puts a dent in what you're trying to do. These are the career tech education classes we offer, if you would, please. We work with a lot of different folks. Again, CTE classes. Now, it's 25 miles from me to Adrian. It's about 45 minutes from us to Muncie. We used to go to Muncie Area Career Center. And we quit doing that because it's 15 minutes to Richmond. And it's hard. But we collaborate with Northeastern. I know they're Wayne County, but we do collaborate with them. And then we send kids to Rollins Welding. You know, we would like to send kids to Aaron's KISS TV, but it's 20 miles. So distance is a big deal here. And I know Union's not here today, but it's actually closer for them, you know, to send folks to Newcastle's Career Center. So distance is a big deal. But these are some of the classes that our kids can take, if you would, please. All right, so the statement speaks for itself. Our school corporation is in excellent shape financially. Now, I can tell you there's been a lot of things we've had to do to get there. When you see the $639,000, it's 21% of this budget. Our overall budget's about $7 million. But this is just the education fund. This is what we do for our teachers. So we were able to give a pretty substantial pay raise, but we're still behind the 8 ball here. We're up to $40,000, but when I got there, we were at $34,000 for a starting teacher. So we gave a 10% pay raise across the board to every employee. Now, I'm talking paraprofessionals, cafeteria aides, bus drivers, everything this year. We started discussions a year ago with my board, and I told them, we're not going to survive because people are going to go everywhere else. And they said, let's get it done. So as you can look, our operations fund is in great shape. Our rainy day fund, $990,000. Where did that come from? Well, when you don't purchase a bus sometimes and you got $30,000 to put into that account, you roll it into there. Or if you got money from your transportation account, you roll it in there. It sure as heck didn't come from education. We use every dime for teachers. Every grant we have, Title I, Title II, Title IV, REAP grant, which is a small rural schools grant, every one of those grants go to pay for salary and benefits of our teachers. Every grant we have. Nothing, you can pull 5% for administrative fees. We don't do any of that. That's all done by me and my elementary principal and my high school principal. Wind farm. This has been a great benefit, and I've got to say thank you to the county for what they did back in 2013. And they provided us an opportunity to have some of this tax abatement. That tax abatement rolls off in 2025. Our assessed value is going up. What does that mean? It means we're going to be able to receive more revenue. That's for the original windmills. Most recently, the solar farm and the windmills that's come in, there was a little bit of an error recently, and you're going to see on October the 4th, they're going to recertify our assessed value. Well, us and Union affected us by $70 million. So that's a big deal because we were getting ready to close on a bond, and that bond was set up and that amortization schedule was set on that funding that we were going to receive. But with that being said, mistakes can be made, Debt service, right now we were at $3.2 million as capacity. Again, we're getting ready to close on this bond of $650,000. We're in excellent financial shape. That's what we owe. We're at $3.2 million, but we only owe 1.3. So we have capacity. Cafeteria fund. I just want you guys to take a look at that. I'm so proud of our cafeteria. This past summer, we served 4,960 meals. I want you to take a look at what we've been able to serve over the last 2 summers and during COVID. During COVID, we served 7,112 meals, and that's quite remarkable. It's all part-time folks too, by the way. They work 3 or 4 hours a day. We have one cafeteria director, if you would please. Major improvements, I could write down everything. I did, and I thought, I'm gonna run out of time. But I want you to think about some things here. The big deals, I would tell you, we didn't have tennis courts. You know where our tennis courts were? They were in our parking lot out front. And depending upon whether you were serving downhill or uphill and you had to miss the crack that was this way, I took my hand and put it in between a crack. We have kids playing on that. That's what I was dealing with when we got here. We built brand new tennis courts, and at that same time, if you would, we also renovated our biology, chemistry labs, and our central office. We didn't have a place for host our board meetings. We have that now. We didn't have a softball diamond. We've got that now. All of these things. We just put a new roof on our elementary about 2 years ago. We've upgraded our chiller at our high school. All these things have happened, and you can see the numbers. These are just some of them. I didn't put all the other things that are 20 grand on the side, if you would. Okay, so you ever wonder what's wrong with education? Well, here, I'm going to show you. As a superintendent, been in this business for a while now. These are funding silos, and these guys know what I'm talking about. It all changed in 2008, 2009. I wasn't a superintendent then, but I got to deal with it in 2011. Just imagine this. You had a master contract in place, and Governor Daniels and Tony Bennett comes in, they strip it, and they say, start over. So you're dealing with a union that thinks that recess during lunch is part of their contract. All you deal with is salary and wages. So now we have silos. And money goes into each silo, and you can only utilize it for each silo. Now, we basically have two silos, education and operations. I used to be paid out of the education fund. They shifted it to operations, and then they drew a line in the sand and said, you can only use 15% of your operations, of your education account for operations. I don't want to get into the weeds here, but what I'm trying to communicate to you is what we do is complicated because what goes on in Indianapolis. Your biggest thing you can do right now is communicate with J.D. Prescott and Jeff Rotz. They're getting ready to come on to a legislative session, and if you want school in your community to be better, you got to communicate with these folks. Don't be on the sidelines and say to yourself, I should have did this. Go ahead and do it. What's it going to, get a group of people and go testify. I learn, I read. What are we doing now? He said it. Aaron said it. Do I like this? What have we done? I mean, are we measuring our kids on a test that's 4 days? And we scored pretty well, comparatively speaking, to the state. I mean, we were still below the average, but we scored phoning it in. You know what I mean by that? How many kids have went from the public school and now are online learning? I'm going to get to that here in just a second. These are the superintendents that I've had since I've been at Randolph Southern. Every one of them, great people. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say anything good or bad. I'm just great people because I've met every one of them. What I'm telling you is each person comes with an agenda. And each person every 4 years feels like, to me, we are changing our educational policy. Which school district do you go to? You know what we've had to do over the last 4 or 5 years now? We've had to bust into each other's districts. And it's frustrating. It is frustrating because we've been forced this way. And it's part of the game. Do I like it? No, I don't. It's like I tell people, we get along so well, except for September the 16th and February the 2nd, or what is it, the 4th? That's count day. I had a kid ate lunch at our school just recently. The mother said that they're going to move their child to Richmond. Richmond already signed them up, and they hadn't even signed up or moved out, and Richmond claimed a kid, and now I'm in a battle for $6,500. That's what we're dealing with. It goes on every day. State House rally. Did it get some things done? Sure did. But let me ask you this. Where are they at now? I mean, if you want education to continue, it does take money. Money makes the world go round. We can say what we want, but the programs that you've all heard today takes money. COVID. What has it done to us? It's created a climate. Well, you know what it's done, and I'm not going to say any more. If you would, please. Greatest challenge, and this is my opinion. It's not Randolph Southern's opinion, it's my opinion. Technology, it's a double-edged sword. I love it, but I also hate it. What has happened? There's so many positives and negatives. Synchronous learning. If you tell me a kid is in their seat and I can see them just like this on KISS TV and they're in front of their teacher for 5 or 6 hours a day, learning with my other colleagues because they've been bullied or they have a medical issue, let's have it. Let's do it. Asynchronous, I got a big problem with, especially at kindergarten through 6th grade. It's ridiculous that the state of Indiana is allowing our students to go in a kindergarten or go online. There is no way they're getting the same education as we can provide in K through 6. No way. And, the law requires us to put 5 to 6 hours a day to count it as a school day for us. I mean, we're against the competitive wall here because the state of Indiana requires us to be in for 6 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. Yet some of these kids are online for a couple hours, hit send, and that's what I mean by phoning it in. Okay? Now, CPS, here's another challenge we face. CPS requires us to report if a kid's been absent for 10 days. To not only CPS and to the probation. What happens to the kid that's online that never shows up? Where are they at? You know where they do? They get lost in the shuffle, and eventually, you know where they come to? Right back here, and they're behind. Or they drop out. Homeschooling, asynchronous, provides little oversight. I'm telling you, I've lived it for the last 18 years. And parents and schools, there are lots of folks that are doing it the right way. However, a vast majority of those folks, when they get back to us, are behind. And if you remember a couple years ago, there was a little $40 million mishap of public funds of kids that one company went out and was data mining for students that weren't enrolled anywhere, and all of a sudden they got enrolled into a public school, and that school got the funding for it. $40 million. It was an FBI investigation. And my proposal to the state was this. We need one vendor. We have to go out here and publicly bid anything that's over a certain threshold, $250,000, $300,000. Why are we not bidding a public bid, have one provider for the state, and if somebody decides to leave Rollin or leave me to go over here and go to the online learning, okay, let's run it through the state, and if you're really committed, then you have to be there for a certain amount of hours every day, and we're going to pay that vendor one price. Why is it that, and I know competition. My wife and I own a private business. We own a business. We know what competition is all about. But my problem is this is public funds. And the public funds aren't getting the education that those kids deserve or the accountability that goes with it. So, and I'd be honest with you, I feel like in a matter of seconds, our kids can get to anywhere in the world with a wealth of information. But we've also lost our moral compass. Again, this is my opinion. It's not Randolph Southern. Distinguishing between sites of bullying, instant messaging, likes, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, social media is running the lives of our kids. How many of you have been on your phone since I've been talking? How about your kid that's in class right now? When I first came to Randolph Southern, my board, and I can show you what it said, no phones allowed in class. Can you imagine being an administrator trying to control that now? We basically said you can have them during lunch, before and after school. I see kids on them all the time. What do you do? It's a part of our lives. What I would propose is we need to have standards put in place. We need to teach our kids, because you know what half the battle is? On Facebook, it's not necessarily the students, it's their parents. I mean, I watched the video of a fellow superintendent a few weeks ago, and I thought it was frustrating. It was trash. Because it was like trying to put a fellow colleague of mine in a bad position and make that person look bad. And that wasn't fair. It was one-sided. And that's what we see. I'm going to tell you, we deal with this every day. It's probably one of the hardest, worst things that we deal with. And there needs to be a moral compass, and there needs to be some... Go ahead, please. What are the three top priorities for us in the next year? Expand learning opportunities in preparation for a career path. This would be expanding our teacher share programs because honestly, we started a couple years ago. Katie Lash was hired. She called me one day and said, "What do you think? What do you think about our career or our service center?" I said, "One of the things you need to do is we need to look at sharing teachers. Somehow figure out, because we have the technology where I can go on to and get onto a teacher with Aaron Black's teaching calculus because I can't offer it during that period, and my kid can go over here and get it, and I pay him a service or we trade it out somewhere else." This is a teacher share program. Working with IU East, Ivy Tech, Ball State, and searching companies that are willing to take our interns. We're a small community. We have Astral, K.I.S.S, with, we have intern kids there. Okay, again, a member of all of these organizations. Really proud of what we do. Okay, let me see. All right, I gave you this. I did a study. And you can see it's called the Educational Economic Relevance of Small School Corporations below 2,000 students. Because everybody tells me, hey, consolidate, consolidate, consolidate. All right, I've been there 18 years. If the patrons of Randolph Southern School Corporation want to consolidate, they should take it to a vote and let the patrons decide that. It shouldn't be decided in Indianapolis. You know why? There are 11 school districts in Marion County alone. Let's start right there in Marion County. How many superintendents, assistant superintendents, curriculum directors, transportation directors do they have in Marion County? Let's start right there. See, it's politically expedient to come out to Randolph County and say, let's consolidate. Do I think that we collaborate? Absolutely. But my study over, and I'm not going to go through all these, but I'm going to show you I-STEP scores, I-READ scores, graduation rate, A to F letter grades, tax rates, general fund expenditures. You're telling me to consolidate for that much money difference? This is over 7 years. I mean, I've ran the stats. If you want a copy of my dissertation, then I can provide it to you in an electronic email. I think that's it.
That's the fastest I've ever gone.
Lynette is now going to talk to us a little bit about Randolph County United. So you are on.
All right, thank you.
No signal.
All right, we're trying to get the computer to work, but I'll talk just for a few minutes here. So the Randolph County Internship Program started at RCU with our Economic Development and our Education Coalition, and this is in partnership with the Randolph County Community Foundation and our Cultivating Community work that we've been doing. So this year, we have had 14 interns placed at 7 different businesses throughout Randolph County. So this is a collaboration, a partnership with everybody. So this year we have students, and I have this listed because I don't want to forget anybody, at Frank Miller Lumber, Roll Builder Supply, Randolph County Advocacy Center, Ohio Valley Gas, Randolph Eastern Schools, Joyce Lane Chocolatiers, and Cobalt Civil. So the really cool thing about this internship program is that we've worked with all 5 of our schools. That way we can offer this across the county for all Randolph County juniors and mostly seniors this year. So it's something that we're super excited about. And as soon as we can get this to load, sorry. I created a video because instead of listening to me talk, I wanted you to hear from our students. So I interviewed 4 of our interns at different companies, and they're going to speak just for a couple minutes about what they're doing with their internships. We're here with Ellie O'Connor, and she is an intern with Randolph Eastern Schools, and she works for Ohio Valley Gas. So Ellie, can you tell us what you do here at OVG?
So basically, as of right now, my internship consists of a lot of data entry and filing as far as like meter cards, 122s, 105s, pressure tests, all that kind of stuff, which you probably don't understand. But right now, OVG is just purchased 2 gas companies, so everybody's kind of in a big hassle trying to get things all rounded up. So eventually, they are hoping to have me step in on some of the mapping of the gas lines, as well as different kinds of projects and assist with that. So I'm looking forward to getting to learn some of that stuff and putting in my helpful 2 cents.
So can you tell me how this program has positively impacted your life so far?
This program has positively impacted my life because, I don't know, I really love it here. I mean, everybody that I work with is like a big family. I think that I'm gaining some useful experience and knowledge, considering that I do want to pursue a career in engineering. So it's just really helped me kind of see what I want to do with my life and where I want to go. And I don't know, I just love it here.
We're here with Parker Curran today. He's an intern for Randolph Eastern, and he works for Cobalt Civil. So Parker, can you tell me what you do here at Cobalt?
Here at Cobalt, I mainly just help the shop guys around, help the yard guys if they need anything done, any organization cleaning, they need just a helping hand, like an oil change or something, just anything I can to help.
So tell me what is something that you've learned through this program that you didn't know before?
I have learned a lot, but probably one of my favorite things that I've learned is how to operate some machinery, like excavators, things like that. Very fun.
And can you tell us how this internship has positively impacted your life?
Before I knew about all this internship stuff, I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. I know I want to do something in this nature, but this just kind of pushed me to help me figure out that this is real.
We're here at Frank Miller today with Mason and Gage. They're both students. Mason is from Randolph Central and then Gage is from Union School. And they are internships here at Frank Miller. So Mason, can you tell us what you do at Frank Miller and what is something that you've learned so far?
Yeah, so basically I'm job shadowing with maintenance. It's me and 3 other guys that have been on maintenance for a long time. I'm kind of just watching what they do and helping them when stuff breaks. And something I've learned is how to fix a chain when it snaps.
Okay. So Gage, can you tell us what you're doing here at Frank Miller and something that you've learned?
I work down in the outlet store. I work the ripsaw with Don. I learned how the ripsaw works and the quarter saw used.
So what I want to say, as you've seen these interns and their work that they're doing, is we've heard all the superintendents talk about the population loss, and we did research on that, and we've seen that Randolph County is projected to lose over the next 15 to 20 years population. So what we're trying to do is combat that, and we're trying to invest in our youth and show them what opportunities that Randolph County has to offer. And the really cool thing that I've got to witness firsthand is like with our first intern, Ellie, she had no idea that OBG needed engineers. So she gets to continue that on, and she's super excited to she's already telling me about how since her family lives here that she can go to college and she can come back and work in Randolph County. And with Mason, what he didn't share was that Frank Miller has placed them with their longest standing employee there, and this man's going to retire in a few years, and he does all their maintenance. And they said there's no one like him in their company. So they're wanting to train Mason to be able to take this on because he showed them the initiative. So I just want to say thank you to the schools, thank you to the Community Foundation, to the work we're doing with cultivating communities, because we are really investing in changing the lives of our students in Randolph County because they are our future. And I think our future is looking very bright. I am very proud that I have students coming up, or kids coming up, myself, in Randolph School District, because there's so many opportunities. I graduated in 2013, and I see a huge difference in just the past 10 years. The opportunities that I didn't have, but my children are now going to get to have. So thank you, and we are looking at next year that says we need you. So if you know a business, or if you own a business and you would like to accept interns, please contact me, because you could really make or break a difference in one of our youth's lives. So thank you so much.
As we began, I talked to you about the fact that having visited so many schools in the state of Indiana as part of the Advanced College Project, I always could return to Randolph County and be proud to say that we could stand shoulder to shoulder with the largest, best known, well-represented schools in the state of Indiana. And I think that's something for all of us to be proud of. And I think what you heard today proves that point. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.